Welcome back. Thanks so much for staying with us. I've got some time left in the show, and I want to let people know that we'd like to offer this up to people out there that would like to be on our show, like all the guests you've seen here today. If you'd like to be a guest, or more importantly, if you'd like to nominate somebody to be on the show, you can do that by calling any of the numbers or contact information on the screen. We're located at 1226 Commerce Drive right here in Mountain Home, Arkansas, or you can call us any time of the day or night. Leave a message if it's after business hours at 870-424-6957, and just contact us and we'll be glad to set up a time for you to be on our show. And with us here is Brook Sutton and our good friend Jerry Strobel from the Lions Club. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing wonderful.
And how are you, Brook?
Good.
Good to meet you. Now we're here to talk about something very close to you guys.
Right.
And let's talk about it.
Well, I'm going to let Brook do most of the talking, but I'll kind of just do a little intro here. Home Instead Senior Care, as most people probably know, or if they don't know, they should know, provides in-home care services for people who need a little extra help at home and probably don't want to go to an assisted living or a nursing home or that kind of.
So this is not an assisted living.
No.
Setup. This is for where you could stay in your home.
That's it, and we
try to be as
send
independent as
caregivers
possible.
in.
Yes.
Right. And so part of that, of course, involves us making sure that the caregivers that go in really have the proper training and tools. So we're very selective about who we send in, and that's what sort of started this thing with Alzheimer's, because as you know, that's something that's affecting a lot of our elderly people, and so we feel like specialized training for them is really important.
And you need that specialized training because you're not in the facility setting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'll let Brook tell you how that all works.
Tell us how it works, Brook.
Okay. Well, we have always provided Alzheimer's training for our caregivers, but this is a revamped program so that the care is more individualized. In the past, we have focused on the disease, and now we're focusing on the individual. What did they do in their past, and what are their behaviors now, so that we can tailor the care to that individual. And that's what this life journal is for, to put all of their hobbies and interests from their past, memories that they used to have in here.
You start off with a baseline of what they were.
Sure.
And then you
because any memories they have at this point are from long ago.
Right.
And if they can conjure any of those up, then it's from the past, and that may help you to care for them now.
And this book is it basically for the family, or is it for the new caregiver?
Both use it. It can be a communication tool between the two of them, and it stays in the client's home. But it can also be a tool.
I would not have thought of something like this. This is pretty cool. I mean,
it's really unique. It's very helpful.
Yeah.
And we know that, Alzheimer's, the long-term memory is what survives with them. And so if we can connect with that, that's what they're connected to, and so it just makes things better for everybody. And incidentally, some of the stories are phenomenal, some of the things that these people have done and lived through.
Oh, really, some of the Alzheimer's patients?
Yes. It really is interesting to listen to them.
As you meet them, you find out more about them. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, neat.
So
let's talk about training. Do you have a certain section of your business that trains these folks? And are you looking for specialized people? You talked about in-home care. Does everyone have to be an RN or LPN or?
This is non-medical care, so they can be a CNA, or they can just be someone who has gotten their degree and don't know what they want to do. It doesn't have to be anything medical. They don't have to be a nurse, and we provide all of their training for them.
Okay.
So whatever training is required, we provide it.
What about part-time versus full-time? Is there positions for both?
The nature of a caregiver's job is part-time, just because we can't promise hours. A client's schedule is constantly changing, so
so it's on demand, kind of. Okay. Okay. So you're looking for people that have a certain amount of flexibility, right? And they want to learn something new and want to care for people, have a genuine feel to care for people. Yeah.
And in addition to that, see, a lot of times caring for people is pretty strenuous, and so you really wouldn't want to do it on a long continuing basis. So they need breaks, frequent breaks, and that kind of thing.
We do have caregivers go on standby on occasion, take some time off, and come back.
Yeah.
we honor that.
Okay. Do your caregivers stay with one patient all the time, or
We
do
try
they?
to keep continuity,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
Sometimes we
That's
have
good.
to have 2 or 3 caregivers for one if they are 24-hour clients, round-the-clock care. One will stay for a few days and then trade out with another caregiver who relieves them for a few days.
Okay. And is this training, is there a fee for this training, or?
No.
No, and this is actually made available to anyone in the public, whether they are a client of ours or not. Anyone in the community who is interested in this training, if they have a family member who's stricken with Alzheimer's and they'd just like to be able to care for them a little better, if they show interest and call our office, we can set up a training schedule for them.
Okay.
And that's
Which
free
is
to
a
them.
good thing.
But once they're trained, is it a volunteer situation, or will they be paid?
Our caregivers?
Yes.
No,
They're
they're
paid.
paid.
Okay.
Yeah. But what Brooke is saying, and I think this is really the exciting part of it, for me anyway, is that anybody who would like to know more about how do you deal with an Alzheimer's patient, they can come in and take the course, and they're not obligated at that point to use us or
Okay. They're just there for the
or
knowledge.
to be a caregiver,
Just a
either
free
one.
resource.
It's just a good service that we want to provide. And again, it's becoming so prevalent that, you know, people are really tuned into the need for specialized training with Alzheimer's. So.
Well, you have many years in senior care. How's it changed over the years?
Well, I think one of the things that Brooke mentioned is really, really important. I mean, obviously, I'm old enough. She doesn't remember this, but I'm old enough that I can remember when the only hope for an Alzheimer's patient was institutionalization.
Right,
you know, you were in an institution, locked away from the rest of the world, and
left alone.
And left alone.
Yeah.
Yes. Now that the whole thing has evolved until this is the state of the art, what Brooke is talking about, where the focus is on the person rather than the disease, because everybody is different. I mean, everybody handles their situations differently.
Yeah.
And so to me, that's again, one of the exciting things is we're looking at, and we, I think, provide the ultimate, because now people don't even have to leave their familiar surroundings. If they have Alzheimer's, they can actually have care coming into them.
And that's a certain amount of comfort for them too. Even though they have a disease, they want to be in a surroundings that they're familiar with.
Very much.
We enter their reality, because reality for them is not the real world anymore. So
Yeah.
you just have to step into that with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it used to be when we trained staff at other places where I was at, that was one of the statements that I always used, is that, and it's kind of frustrating now to me, because I see people trying to make that person understand them.
Yeah.
And I always say, you know, we have to go to their world, because they can't come to ours. They no matter how bad they want to, they can't. And so it's the right approach, you know.
How often do you offer this training?
We actually have not had any training yet. We're just making the community aware that they can participate. But if they call and show interest, we can absolutely get it set up. There are 7 different lessons provided for the training, so it may be different evenings that we would schedule that for them. It probably wouldn't
now
be.
for our caregivers, we're definitely going to.
We've already been training caregivers.
Yeah.
Okay. So the training is going on now. Do you have to have so many per classes to give a class, or?
No.
Okay. So one-on-one, if that's the need, then you do it that way. Okay.
Sure. Well, if somebody's showing interest, we would set up a meeting and then invite, you know, make it known so people could come. But the other thing Brooke mentioned to me earlier is that there's a modified version of that training going to be available also online.
Oh, okay.
So that will be another benefit.
If someone can't get away from their loved one, they don't have someone else to provide care while they leave, then they can stay at home and see the abbreviated version online.
Okay. All right.
And where would they go?
Homeinstead.com.
Okay.
That's it.
That's
Easy.
very simple.
Yep.
Very simple.
Yep.
Is there anything else that you wanted to cover that I hadn't asked questions about? It seems like it's there's a lot involved here.
It is.
There is.
Yeah.
I don't know that you could hit everything in one conversation.
Well,
We've
let's
covered a
talk.
lot.
Let's talk about Home Instead for a second. We know that it's not facility care; it's in-home care.
Exactly.
And how do people learn more about that? I mean, do they? I'm sure we pique interest out there, and people say, "Well, my parents are needing some help. I'm not sure how I get started." Sure. How do they start?
Well, and since we have the time, there's something else that probably people should know. They may, but they may not, and so we can use this time. First of all, any information they can get by calling the office at 425-0700. That's the easiest way, and we have staff there to answer the phones actually 24 hours a day. But one of the things that I think is really important is that our minimum requirement for hours is 3 hours. So if we send a caregiver in, they have to pay for 3 hours of care as a minimum. But the beautiful thing is that they can also use them for however many hours they want. You know, we can set up schedules for 24 hours a day. But what we were talking about the other day is so many folks go on vacations, they leave town, they have their parents that are not really comfortable with them being here all by themselves, but yet they don't want to move them into a nursing home or something. And so we can provide that sort of respite for them, so if they want to go somewhere or do something, or even if it's occasionally that they want to do that, we can provide that. I think it's a service we provide that's really important in this community, because I know a lot of people are taking care of their loved ones and they just are tied down.
Sure,
yeah. So
you know, we talked about the service earlier, but we didn't talk specifically about what is done, what the caregivers actually do.
Sure.
If it's not all medical, what do they do?
Right.
Well, they can provide personal care such as bathing and grooming, provide transportation to and from errands. If the client's unable to leave their home, the caregiver can run errands for them and bring things back like prescriptions and groceries, housekeeping, meal preparation, any activity of daily living that they need help with. And they can simply just be there. If you're worried about safety, falling, if they're a fall risk, helping them to the bathroom and back, then the caregiver can just be there to assist with those things.
If they live at home, I mean, let's go outside the home. The yard work and that kind of thing, how is that handled? Do you handle that too, or is that outside of your realm?
We don't do yard work, but we could help, you know, arrange that kind of thing and stuff like that. But
that's a great need. Many of them need you to make phone calls for them because they can't hear on the phone very well, or they're confused and don't know which way to go, what step to take. But I know that my yard needs to be mowed.
Yeah, sure. And then pet care, I mean, how's that play into it?
We can help with that.
Okay, you can help with that, okay. All right.
Yeah, and I just about, you know, anything that they need, it's just like I was thinking, if, for instance, if my dad was still driving, I would have gladly paid for somebody to come and just take him shopping.
Sure. Well,
because I didn't want him in the car by himself.
When an elderly person is at home, you are the link. If my mother was totally alone, I would be that link, and I would be on edge all day long, wondering if she's okay or not.
Exactly.
And you know, to continue my life, and you have to.
And we communicate very well with the families and stay in close contact with them. To, you know, they let us know, well, Mom has fallen and she's in the hospital. We don't need services today, but could you at least just send your caregiver to check on her and call me when they get back? We have many long distance adult children caring for their families, so we're kind of that middle communicator for both of them.
And the other thing is that home instead, this is not true necessarily of all in-care home agencies, but home instead is bonded and insured, and we employ all of our caregivers so that if anything happens to a caregiver, the family's not liable, the client's not liable, and that kind of thing, which is another important thing.
Right, but you take steps to make sure that all your caregivers are certified and go through specific training that you sanction.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
But the main reason you're here, other than the fact that we're talking about your business here, is we're talking about free education.
Yes.
And that, if you want to know more about that, you can give a call at the number that was on the screen, or you can give it out if you'd like. Again,
425-0700.
All right.
Very easy.
We appreciate you guys being here.
Thank
you for the information. It's our goal. I learn every time I do the show, and I hope our audience out there learns at least one thing that they can take and use. And hopefully, if you have a parent, a loved one, or someone close to you that needs the services, you can give them a call and at least get more information, and you can make an educated decision about what you need to do with their life and your life too.
Exactly.
Thank y'all so much for being here.
Well, we appreciate it, Dan. Thanks.
And we thank you again for being on the show, watching the show, and thanks all the guests for being here this week. And we'll see you again next time. And I hope Sandy's here. I'm getting kind of lonely. She's playing hooky a lot this summer. So.
Well, I have one thing in common with you, and that is I didn't know till an hour ago that I was going to be here either. So
we get thrown into these things.
That's it.
Oh, we just make the best of it. Thanks so much for joining us again. We'll see you again next time.
Okay. Good job.